In this video, I'm going to show you how to re-clock or readjust the temperature on a viscous fan clutch. This particular one is adjustable. It's made by Kit Masters. Kit Masters went to Borg Warner, who makes most of the fan clutches that were found, especially on a lot of commercial vehicles and even on some consumer vehicles. And they went to them and are reproducing most all of the replacement fan clutches that you can find out on the market these days for your older vehicles. This particular one's off of a school bus that has a Navistar 7.3 liter or T444E engine on it. I upgraded the fan clutch in this, but I wanted to show you guys how the original one worked. So what you have is you have this little coil in the center. That coil in the center is temperature activated by the air temperature coming from your radiator, not the coolant temperature, but the air temperature. So if your radiator's clogged or you have a lot of air leakage around your radiator, then your fan can pull in cooler air from around the edges of the radiator, or if the radiator, again, if it's clogged, if the fins are clogged or the tubes inside the radiator are clogged, it won't get hot enough air to actually turn your fan on. What these fan clutches do is they allow the fan to freewheel when the engine's cold, and then you see that second hub back there turns independently of the fan. When it's cold like this, it should be nice and stiff. If your fan clutch is no good and you take it off and it sits overnight or horizontal like that, and this is not hard to turn, then your fan clutch is probably bad. That should be nice and stiff when your fan clutch is cold. And either on the vehicle you can rotate the fan, but after it sits overnight it should be nice and stiff. If your fan just spins freewheel, your fan clutch is definitely no good. So what happens is that little coil rotates with temperature and it will engage it more to the hub, and of course this hub is connected to your engine, typically your water pump and your fan belt. So that's how these little guys work. These things can be adjusted. This particular one here, they told me from the factory, and you can look the numbers up on these things and call them into Kit Masters. They told me this one was set at 170 degrees. That says it needs 170 degree air coming off of the radiator to work. In the Navistar applications, you have a half a radiator and a half a turbo cooler, so you get a lot of cool air in even when your radiator's hot. So it's necessary to turn your fan clutch down a little bit so that your fan will engage a little bit earlier, and it helps keep your engine a little bit cooler. So what we can do is this thing rotates as it gets hotter. The thing will try to rotate this little, it's going to try to rotate this little hub in there counterclockwise. So the more counterclockwise that it goes, then the more open it is, which means your fan turns on more. So what we want to do is help it along a little bit. You can see right now it's set in the middle. That's where it's factory set. That's that green mark there. And some of them come that way, otherwise I mark them. It's got a star bit on it, so we just loosen the little, these little connectors here, these little screws here. Sorry about that, not connectors. I was looking at an electric connector. And then it's going to allow that plate to slide, and you can see it did. So that plate, each one of these little marks is 10 degrees. So taking it down to here, if you figure it was 170, it's 160, 150, 140. And that's where I actually ran mine, because I wanted my fan to run a lot more than what it had been. And that means that 140 degree air coming out of the radiator, your fan's going to turn on, which if you have a full radiator in a normal, like a DT466 school bus or something along those lines, that may be too cold because your fan may just run all the time, or it may close your thermostat. On the T444E, there or one mark up seems to be just about perfect for these. And you can see what that does is it helps that little coil by turning that piece. You can see how it helps that little coil rotate counterclockwise, and then you just tighten it up. And I only got one hand, so we're going to tighten it at the lowest setting. And then you would put this back on your truck, start it up and drive. You can try heat gunning this thing. I've never really had much luck heat gunning it and being able to get it to an exact temperature to know what really engages at. But but that's how you would we call it clocking your fan clutch, or adjust the temperature down on it, and that should help your fan engage more. And you won't be able to tell, like when it's on the ground like this, or if you were doing this adjustment inside your truck, which you can do if you have a camera and a mirror. You can actually adjust that. I've reached around the front of the radiator and adjusted mine before I changed it out. So that's about it. So any questions, you can put them in the comments. Thanks.